Fox 7 Austin newsroom. Haven't seen you guys in about a week. The last 2 days, our very own Marco Bittnell coming in to cover up for us here. So doing a great job, of course, bringing you guys the latest information here in the newsroom. I know it's been a busy start to the year. We're only about 2 weeks into January, and it feels like we've had so much to talk about. Obviously, we have developing stories, both the Uvalde school shooting trial, which our very own Jenna King is continuing to cover. She'll have more of that later on. We won't really get into that too much tonight in our show, running from 8 to 9 here on the Fox Local app and, of course, on YouTube Live. But we do have some things going on internationally that I want to get to right away. This coming down about an hour and a half ago from Fox News. Iran shutting down airspace. Foreign officials have actually warned against travel to Israel as well. So this is a developing situation. We have been seeing President Trump, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, talking about this on a daily basis. We have seen, of course, protests here in downtown Austin over the weekend, right outside the Capitol. We saw hundreds of people gathering there, protesting against the Islamic regime in Iran. And of course, we have been told by various sources that hundreds, maybe even thousands of people have been killed. That number at times ranging from 2,500 people killed to maybe even 10,000. We do know thousands of others have been detained as well. But I want to show you guys something really interesting in terms of this airspace being shut down. If you go to Flight Radar 24 here, okay? Obviously, the United States, so busy, so much flight traffic. Go around pretty much the rest of the world, and you're going to see a lot of movement. And when you get over into the Middle East here, obviously a ton of traffic. But look at how everything is being funneled around Iran here. There is no planes flying through here, closing down that airspace. There, of course, is Tehran and the entire country right now. No flights going through there. We did see about an hour and a half ago, right when this is announced, there was a plane flying right in the middle here. I'm not quite sure what that flight was. I was even pointing it out to Marco, but that is no longer there right now. So we have basically nothing going over the country. We are waiting to hear if there's any other moves that are going to be made. Of course, Iran issued this notice to airmen alert. That was late today, and then they closed airspace to all flights except international flights. Flight tracking data showed multiple planes were either denied entry to Iran or rerouted around the country, according to Flight Radar 24, which we're showing you guys right here. Minutes later, the U.S. embassies in Jerusalem and Qatar issued security alerts advising, quote, increased caution and limiting non-essential travel. The UK Foreign Office also issued an advisory recommending against all but essential travel to Israel. There is a heightened risk of regional tension, officials wrote in the advisory. Escalation could lead to travel disruption and other unanticipated impacts. A U.S. official told Reuters Wednesday the Department of War was moving personnel amid rising tensions. This is from a Western military official telling the outlet here. We don't have the person's name. That's what it says here. It says, quote, all the signals are that the U.S. attack is imminent, but that is also how this administration behaves to keep everyone on their toes. Unpredictability is part of the strategy. Clearly working here. We've been told all day that maybe something was going to happen. Would this be airstrikes? What kind of attack are we talking here? President Trump talking about this earlier today, signing a bill with whole milk, which some people have joked about all day, but was asked questions about this as well. Hours before this alert issued, as I just mentioned, President Donald Trump told reporters from the Oval Office the killing of protesters had ended. I want to show you guys what he was telling them. I'll pull this up, but President Trump, of course, signing a bill bringing back whole milk and 2% milk back into schools. To be quite honest with you, we were all watching it here. I didn't know that was a situation. I don't really recall exactly what percentages we had back in high school then. But President Trump signing that today, there was a large glass of whole milk on his desk, which maybe we can show you guys later. But I want to get to what Trump had to say on this, on the Iran killings, essentially telling people that they had stopped. So we'll listen into the president.
Been notified and pretty strongly, but we'll find out what that all means. But we've been told that the killing in Iran is stopping. It's stopped. It's stopping. And there's no plan for executions or executions. So I've been told that on good authority. We'll find out about it. I'm sure if it happens, we'll all be very upset, including you will be very upset. But that's just gotten to me from information that the killing has stopped. that the executions have stopped. They're not going to have an execution, which a lot of people were talking about for the last couple of days. Today was going to be the day of execution. We have been informed by very important sources on the other side, and they've said the killing has stopped and the executions won't take place. There was supposed to be a lot of executions today, and that the executions won't take place. And we're going to find out. I mean, I'll find out after this. You'll find out. But we've been told on good authority, and I hope it's true. Who knows, right? Who knows?
That was President Trump there talking about the situation in Iran, as we were just discussing. To go back to what he said, quote, "We've been told that the killing in Iran is stopping, and it's stopped and stopping, and there's no plan for executions or an execution." We told you guys a couple days ago there was apparently a planned execution for one of these protesters. According to Trump, that's not the situation anymore. He said, "I've been told that on good authority. We'll find out about it." He also was asked about military action against Iran. He said, "We're going to watch to see what the process is." We were given a very good statement by people that are aware of what's going on. So obviously this is what President Trump is saying regarding the situation. I do want to show you what Fox News special report anchor Brett Baer speaking with the Iranian foreign minister, and his side of the story, of course, very different from the sources that we have been getting about the situation. So I want to listen into this very interesting conversation here with Brett Baer and the Iranian foreign minister. We'll listen in. If I can get this to work. There we go.
Sir, that anywhere from 2,500 to more than 12,000 protesters in various cities have been killed by the regime. How many people have been killed?
I have to tell you the story. When terrorist elements led from outside, entered these, protests and started to shoot, police forces, police officers, and security forces. And there were terrorist cells. They came in. They used Daesh-style terrorist, operations. They got police officers, burned them alive, they beheaded them, and they started shooting at police officers and also to the people. So as a result, for 3 days, we had, in fact, fighting against terrorists and not, with the protesters. It was completely a different story. The reason I have to explain, and this is important, why they started to shoot at people, for one reason, they wanted to increase the number of deaths. Why? Because President Trump has said that if there are killings, he would intervene. And they wanted to drag him into this conflict. And that was exactly an Israeli plot. They wanted to drag the President of the United States in this conflict. So they started to increase the number of deaths by killing.
Because if you're listening to what the Iranian foreign minister is telling Brett Baer here, he is saying this is an Israeli plot. They brought in foreign terrorist cells to cause this in order to move the hand of President Trump. And of course, that's not what we're being told. We're being told that these protesters going against the Islamic regime here, unhappy with their situation. We saw blackouts. We saw people not being able to call their loved ones. When we were over at the Capitol on the weekend, we were speaking with people. Marco was speaking with people, saying, I haven't been in contact with my family members. We're not getting updates from them. Many people fearing that their family members were in danger. We've been told thousands of people have been locked up and or killed. The Iranian foreign minister here saying that's not really the full story. This is another terrorist cell coming in here and causing this mayhem in order to force the hand of President Trump. So listen to what Brett Baer here basically says to push back.
Killing ordinary people, by killing police officers, by starting a kind of, fighting inside the different cities.
Okay, that's not the full thing. But Brett Baer essentially telling him, look, what you're telling us, we understand what you're saying, but that's not what the information we've been given. So he's basically telling him, you expect us to believe this from you. And so the Iranian foreign minister speaking with Brett Baer earlier, we have not heard anything yet on the developing situation over there. Obviously, as I showed you guys, if you look at this flight radar here, that airspace obviously closed down. That was about an hour and a half ago that came down from Fox News, closing all airspace to all flights except international flights with prior permission from the country. They said it will be in effect for just over 2 hours. So in about 20 minutes, I guess we could look back and see exactly where this stands. But as of right now, as you guys can see, there is nothing going on here. There are no flights going on. And if you back this thing out, I mean, if you just look at how busy it is everywhere else, and then of course there, nothing at all, and then go over to the US, I mean, my goodness, just absolutely crowded. So a developing situation. According to Trump, he believes the killing has stopped, and he says on good authority, we'll find out about it. And he says we were given a very, very good statement by people, and we are aware of what's going on. As this is going on, we have another developing situation with Greenland, of course. And yesterday we showed you guys a report from Fox News' Kevin Corke, basically asking the question, which it is a legitimate question to some people, could Greenland, in a sense, be the 51st state of the United States? I'm not just saying that. That's what the report was asking, essentially. So based on the information that we've been given, Trump is trying to make the case that NATO should help the U.S. acquire the world's largest island in Greenland. And he says anything less than it being under American control is unacceptable. Denmark, of course, who the Kingdom of Denmark controls the territory, they announced plans to boost the country's military presence in the Arctic and North Atlantic as Trump tries to justify his calls for a U.S. takeover of that massive territory, of course. He's repeatedly claimed that China and Russia have their designs and their sights on Greenland, which of course holds a lot of untapped reserves of critical minerals. The president, however, today not taking part in those meetings with Greenland and Denmark, but he did say, we need Greenland for national security. We'll see how it all works out. I think something will work out. Prior to this, Trump had named Louisiana Governor Jeff Landry as a special envoy to Greenland last month. Landry did not attend that meeting either this morning, but he was scheduled to travel to Washington on Thursday and Friday for meetings that could include the topic of Greenland. So if you're not familiar, Jeff Landry, the governor of Louisiana, is somebody who's been involved with the search for Lane Kiffin. So dealing with college football world Lane Kiffin and also the special envoy to Greenland here. So I do want to show you guys what the Secretary of the Interior, Doug Burgum, had to say on the matter here. This was also on Fox News. And then we'll go and show you the side of Denmark as well in terms of what they're saying. And to be quite honest, you've got a very different opinions here. A fundamental difference, I would say. So we'll listen in to Doug Burgum here on Fox
Greenland
News.
plays a critical role in protecting both North America and Europe from incursion. That needs to be in control of someone who's even stronger than NATO. That's the United States of America.
There's possibilities to accommodate the concerns of the president, while we at the same time respect the red lines of the Kingdom of Denmark.
Okay, let's go back and listen to what Doug Burgum says here. Listen to what he
Greenland
says
plays a
here.
critical role in protecting both North America and Europe from incursion. That needs to be in control of someone who's even stronger than NATO. That's the United States of America.
There's possibility.
So he says there that Greenland needs to be in control of somebody even stronger than NATO, which is the United States of America. The United States of America is in NATO. The United States of America, a founding member of NATO, of course, after World War II. So a very interesting comment there by the Secretary of the Interior, Doug Burgum. And then, of course, on the other side, the Minister of Foreign Affairs here for Denmark, essentially saying there's a fundamental difference here on how they're viewing things, believes there's a way forward. Exactly what that is for them, it is yet to be seen. It looks as though they will have more meetings on exactly what is going to happen. But this is a developing situation. Trump seems very stern about it and seems a bit aggressive, I would say, towards Denmark. You also had another part of NATO being involved with this. Of course, if you're essentially messing with one, you're messing with everybody. Germany sending troops out there as well. So there is some movement from other European countries in regards to this. And it's, of course, something we want to keep our eye on. And we'll go back to that, and I'll show you more what the foreign minister had to say as well. I also want to let you guys know when we come back after the break, we are going to talk with Marco Bittnell because there was a very interesting development in the yogurt shop murders case, obviously all the way back in 1991. Many of you out there have probably watched the documentaries. You've been following the case. And then just a few months ago, towards the end of the year in September, we get word that there's new DNA evidence. They find that Robert Eugene Brashers is the man responsible for that horrific quadruple homicide. But Robert Eugene Brashers obviously killing himself back in 1999. So we're never going to hear from him. But of course, there were 4 men that we now know were wrongly convicted of this and spent serious time in prison. And so Marco actually spoke with one of those men, and the reason we wanted to talk with him is that the Travis County DA, Jose Garza, saying there's going to be a hearing set to essentially exonerate these men, clear their names, in his words, provide some sort of transparency and healing in this entire process. I'm not quite sure what kind of healing you can have when something like that happens. And of course, we'll show you part of the interview, of course, with one of those people, Michael Scott, who was involved with this. And Marco speaking with him today, very emotional, obviously. So when we come back, we'll talk with Marco. We'll get more information on exactly what he said with Michael Scott, and you guys will be able to see a little bit of what Scott had to say as well. We will be right back after this. Welcome back into Austin now. We've multiplied. I need to scoot over. We're too close, aren't we?
Just a tad.
Just a little tad close there. Tight quarters in here. It's also really hot in here. Bringing in Marco Bittnell. This is his story, obviously, today. We have been talking about the yogurt shop murders for months and months now, of course. We did get that massive development back in September. Robert Eugene Brashers, through DNA evidence being found to be the killer. But of course, there are people that have been hurt by this case in so many other ways because of these wrongful convictions. One of those men, Michael Scott, I spoke too soon. We're not going to show you Michael Scott, but his attorney, who obviously has been involved with this case for decades now. So you spoke with that attorney. We know that the Travis County DA, Jose Garza, wants to exonerate these men. In your conversation with the attorney today, I mean, tell us what it was like just to hear his side of the story.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, he's been representing Michael Scott since 1999. That's when he was first introduced to this case. And, they've been through, a whole bunch of up and downs, as you can imagine, over the course of, the over 25 years of this case. And he actually first took on Michael Scott's case after he was involved in that false confession, after he, they made the claims that, we'll probably talk about it here in a little bit, that there was a gun pointed to the back of his head, and detectives interrogated him for over 18 hours, and he eventually made this confession. So, Tony Diaz, a guy that's been heavily involved with this case, and as you're talking about, it gets very emotional. He's been along for this entire ride.
Yeah, I want to show you guys part of this interview that Marco did, and Marco immediately comes up to me and says, hey, this interview got emotional. So there's a lot going on here. This is a lot that's built up. And as we mentioned, Jose Garza is saying hopefully provide some healing. We don't know what that's going to do at this point. It is a bit late in the process, but we'll listen in to the attorney here, Tony Diaz, who, of course, the attorney for Michael Scott, one of those four men.
Shit out of me.
And when he eventually confesses to this, and this is getting into.
So Marco's asking him right now, once he confesses to this,
this being used. I know his confession was used to directly tied in with Springsteen's as well. I mean, what was that process like in terms of waiting to see what? There was no physical evidence. Them to the crime.
Marco reminds him there's no physical evidence either.
These interrogations. What did you think of that being the sole piece of evidence at that point? Just these interrogations that you said were so obviously forced.
Well, that's why I took the case to help Mike Scott. There was no doubt in my mind that he did not confess. They actually wrote his statement for him, and then he signed it. They typed it up, and then he signed it. There were something like 5 different confessions that he made, and none of them are the same.
And when it comes to that time after, they get that confession and he's spending this time in incarceration, when you were keeping in contact with him, what was that experience like for him? He was, behind.
It made me better understand his suffering.
And when it comes to, how traumatic that was for him, would you say it'd be hard to even, kind of express the toll that took on him spending those years incarcerated?
I can't explain it. I don't see how humans can do these things to each other.
So you heard there, obviously, Marco interviewing Michael Scott's attorney in this case, clearly very shaken up still, 25 years later about this, and saying they made this guy write 5 different confessions, made him sign it. They wrote it for him, he says. No physical evidence. It's just a mind-boggling situation.
Yeah, and he reiterates at the time he's 27 years old. He keeps on telling me they stole the prime of his life from him, and you have to think about being in that sort of situation. You're being accused of very heinous crime. This is not just hey, we caught you speeding. This is
right.
You're being accused in the murder of 4 young girls, and he's in that interrogation room for 18 hours. And they have that video back then. You'll see it in my story coming on later on tonight. We will show that video. But he's just sitting there, and there seems to be some sort of object pointed at the back of Michael Scott's head. Tony Diaz tells us that was a gun, and they specifically said to him, they pointed this gun at him, and they said, put a gun behind his head, and they asked him, was this the gun? Was this what it was like when you put the gun to her head?
Wow.
And then they go on to say as well, just beyond, using some sort of intimidation tactic like that, they go on to, ask him too. They say, hey, if you go ahead and tell us right now that you did this, they won't give you the chair. They won't give you the needle. So basically he's saying, hey, if you admit to this case right now, we promise you, you won't get the death penalty.
Just trying to get this out of him. 18 hours of just keeping him awake and interrogating him.
Yeah.
When you're talking with the attorney, was there ever a sense that he thought maybe there was coercion elsewhere involved with this and trying to get these guys convicted?
Yeah, I mean, also with Springsteen as well, one of the other suspects who was actually sentenced to death for this. I mean, that was overturned. But, they were both in the interrogation rooms for multiple hours. And it was kind of the same thing where, both of these men, end up saying, hey, I never did this. I was coerced into saying this. So, it was a common theme throughout this conversation is saying that both of, these confessions, were made on the grounds of these guys basically either intimidated or just exhausted and fatigued from being in that investigation room. And they probably just wanted it all to end. And you can understand that after 18 hours.
Yeah, I mean, we have talked about this case so much, obviously. And it also feels weird. I mean, obviously we figure out who's done it in Robert Eugene Brasher's, but I think for the family, there's a sense of they're not getting the full stroke of justice here because he killed himself, because he's dead. And so dying the same year that this is all happening as well. I don't know if you asked Tony this in the interview, but with this announcement of this exoneration hearing being held, is there any kind of solace they can grab for that? I mean, what does he think about it?
I mean, he obviously wants to, yes, it's hard what Michael Scott and the rest of the suspects, went through, but he also wants to tell us, like, at the end of the day, these families are almost receiving, like you said, it's kind of little consolation with this guy, ultimately taking his life back in 1999. And, that's the kind of the thing he keeps on going back to is he it was sad to see going through all those old clips when I was watching earlier because these families were just so convinced that these young men were responsible, that these 4 men were responsible. You look back at the clips of the mothers talking and they say, I have no doubt in the world that these guys are responsible. And you can't necessarily blame them because, that is what, police and prosecutors were telling them. They're saying, hey, we think these are the guys. So these families for years and years were convinced that, okay, we have our daughter's killers.
Right.
And it comes out to play, for decades, these...
not the situation.
Not the situation.
So many people affected by this negatively, the family members of the girls who were killed. Then you have these 4 men, obviously here, as you said, the prime of their lives being taken away. You've got lawyers and judges and everybody that's been involved with this. And hopefully now there can sort of be a cap put over this. I just want to remind people that hearing is scheduled for February 19th at 9 a.m. I'll read you a small quote here from Travis County DA Jose Garza. It has been over 25 years since the 4 men wrongfully accused have been waiting for the criminal justice system to clear their names. We hope this hearing offers the transparency they need to help them move forward and the support of the healing process for the families of the 4 young girls, as well as our Austin community. I don't know if it'll be enough for the community. I do think it's also interesting. You were doing this story earlier. We found out that Robert Eugene Brasher's, the man who is, the criminal here involved in all this, he was also accused of another murder. And really building his case even more as a serial killer.
The exact same crime in
right.
Lexington, Kentucky back in 1998.
Year before he kills himself.
Yeah, year before he kills himself, the exact same crime that he's linked to. He, ties together a young girl at a hearing aid center over there in Lexington, Kentucky, sexually assaults her, shoots her in the head, and then lights the building on fire. And that case unsolved, just like the yogurt shop murder, is a cold case for years and years and years, and it finally took the advancement of technology for those 2 cases to be linked together. And even Lexington police, when they were talking about this, they just said, these are the ones we've discovered that he's responsible for. And he actually tells other agencies, he says, hey, if you have cases that are similar to where you have these cold cases where these girls, maybe were shot or sexually assaulted and the building was set on fire, you need to look into this, get in contact with us, because this guy traveled all across the country doing this, specifically the southern portion of the country, but still, you had Missouri, South Carolina, Kentucky, Austin. So it was a far region that this guy was traveling to commit these crimes.
Yeah, it's unfortunate it has taken this long for us to get all of this information out there and for the technology sort of to meet up with what's available. But just a reminder that hearing is scheduled for February 19th at 9 a.m. for the 4 men that will be exonerated, hopefully get some relief. Marco will have his full story coming up half hour?
Half hour.
In a half hour, so you guys can watch all of that at 9 o'clock. You'll hear, of course, from Michael Scott's attorney involved with this. And then we'll, of course, continue to follow this. And I know for a fact we will be there on February 19th at 9 a.m. to cover this as well. And, I guess this is just going to keep going.
It will until February 19th.
All right, we will be right back. We're going to take a quick break. And when we get back, I do want to talk about that interesting mistake, if you will, with a student going from Massachusetts to Texas, wrongfully deported, according to the All right, we just took a quick break there, so I want to get you guys back as soon as possible. And we've got some breaking news out of Minneapolis right now. I want to take you guys there. Obviously, there have been anti-ICE protests all over the country because of the fatal shooting of 37-year-old Renee Nicole Good in Minneapolis just a week ago by an ICE agent, Jonathan Ross. We do have cameras there, and I want to take this from our affiliate in Minneapolis. We have cameras there on the ground. There have been anti-ICE protests all week, all around the country. We have seen them here in Austin. We have seen them in California. We have seen them in Minnesota. And so obviously the most, I guess, volatile of all have been in Minneapolis. Not quite sure what's going on there, but we will hopefully try to pull even more in. I do want to go to another shot here. We have, this is one of the reporters here in Minneapolis. We'll listen in.
And when did you arrive here?
So I arrived here just a little bit ago. I was getting constituent calls that there was a shooting in North Minneapolis, and it's not, you know, I come to these things. I got over here and I realized that it was ICE involved. And so I've been here now. The tear gas is out here. Everyone's running and scared because that's some powerful stuff.
When you got here, what initially did you see and what was happening when you arrived?
When I got here, they were saying they were trying to get someone out of the house. That there's a house on this block that someone had been shot in, and they were trying to get them out.
I know the city had released or tweeted a statement saying that they were aware of reports of a shooting involving federal agents, but that no Minneapolis police or local agencies were involved in that. Have you heard that or read that as well?
Not Minneapolis police involved. Minneapolis police is here to make sure that the residents and folks are safe. They're definitely not involved. And I think now the BCA is on the scene and ICE is trying to clear out.
What are your thoughts about what you're seeing and if these reports are true, if this is another person that...
It's just so scary, and there's so much misinformation that goes out, and then there's real things happening. And so I think it's just getting scarier and scarier.
So we're being told that there was another ICE-involved shooting in Minneapolis, which is where we are at right here, obviously. The report to us, that person not killed, but if anything does change on that, we will let you guys know. But this, right now, live in Minneapolis, anti-ICE protest, reports of another ICE-involved shooting there, of course, just a week after the fatal shooting of 37-year-old Renee Nicole Good on the streets.
Think something else is going on that's not going on. I think having key information is important in these times.
And what's the message? Have you been hearing from people who were here, and has anybody said they saw what happened?
I haven't heard from anyone saying they saw what happened, but I'm just hearing from people that they're
One of
really
my
scared.
producers right now just telling me that
Okay,
Tim
thank
Walz,
you
of course,
very
the
much.
governor
I
of
really
Minnesota,
appreciate you
coming out
chatting
saying
with
this is
us.
organized
Obviously, as
brutality
we continue, Vinny,
against
if you
the
want to
people
turn the
of
camera
Minnesota.
around,
If you're
you
just
can
joining
see
us,
there
this is
are
breaking
still
news
a
out
lot
of
of people,
Minneapolis. This
protesters who
is
are here,
our partner here, our
demonstrators who
affiliate
are
Fox
trying to
9 in
figure out what's
Minneapolis
going
right
on.
now. They are on
I
the
don't
street,
know if you can see
getting
there's kind
out
of a
there,
line
involved with this
of-
anti-ICE
looks like federal
protest.
agents down
There's
there in
reports
front
of
of
an
those
ICE-involved
flashing
shooting
lights.
there.
Everyone
Early
here,
reports telling us that
obviously,
person
a lot
not
of
dead,
anger,
but we will, of course,
a
keep you
lot
guys
of
updated as we learn
confusion,
more
a lot
information.
of
We do, of course, want to stay on
frustration
this.
over what's been
I
going
also
on.
have my eye on another situation on another one of our live cameras, and we will switch over to that if we see anything of note over there. But the reporter here in Minneapolis going down the street talking to some of these protesters about the situation that's been going on.
Anything else as we find it. Vinny, let's back up.
Maury, just quickly, there's fireworks going off. Maury, go ahead and get safe. We'll just follow this video. Let's just let it play and listen to it for a second.
Tear gas. We're going to back up here a bit so we can stay safe. Hold on.
Okay.
Now look. Hey, we had slow. Now look.
You okay, Maury?
Yeah, you can. I can feel the tear gas in my eyes, and it got a little bit in my throat, but obviously not as bad as some of the folks who had ventured up a little bit closer. First of all, a little better. Isn't it? The federal agents, and as they get close, they deploy some sort of gas, and then that kind of drives the folks back to the corner, and that's been repeated several times just since we not a breathe. He'll see the share which just off a little bit since we've been here.
Is there a perimeter set up, Maury? Because we can see from one of our cameras a crime scene tape that has been put up almost as a full city block. Can you see how far back from the potential shooting site that this crowd is now gathered?
It's kind of difficult to see. We're about a block from 24th and Lyndale, and I believe it was a little bit farther from there, but I'm not exactly sure. They have several blocks taped off around this.
All right, we're going to switch over to another live camera we have here. I think this is on the other side of what we were just showing you. This is an anti-ICE protest going on in Minneapolis as we speak. We were just hearing reports there from our affiliate Fox 9 in Minneapolis. You had just seen there what looked to be a pepper ball projectile, some form of tear gas being thrown out there to try and push these people back. The reports coming out that there was another ICE-involved shooting. We don't know the condition of that person or any type of identification, but what we do know is these have been going on all week since the fatal shooting of Renee Nicole Good there on the streets of Minneapolis. We have seen so many protests around the nation, specifically in Minneapolis, the most volatile of them all, of course. And we've also seen anti-ICE protests here. We were out there on Saturday to see it in person, a very similar scene. When you have these protesters coming up, you have the law enforcement vehicles there, and then throwing out those pepper ball projectiles. Here in downtown Austin, Marco and I were actually walking as they were leaving. So the protesters leave the J.J. Pickle building. They go around to Congress, kind of heading more that direction. Then they start heading south down Congress, away from the Capitol. When they got down towards 6th Street there, some of them stopping traffic. They did not have a permit, weren't able to do that, obviously. And so APD essentially surrounding them with their bicycles and then sort of bull rushing in there and detaining 5 of those people. We did get a report on their names and identifications as well, but they eventually released. But really dealing with an obstruction of justice situation there, obstructing highways there as well. And so the scene right now, the live scene in Minneapolis, we are going to try and stay on this as best as we can. We saw some of the Fox 9 reporters getting as close as they could there, obviously, but during all of that, those pepper ball projectiles, I believe that's what they are, because it looks very similar to what we saw in downtown Austin happening over there as well. I want to switch back to that other report. It looks like more projectiles being thrown now.
Obviously, they're using flashbangs and tear gas.
As you can see right there, there's the gas right there, the reporter right in the middle of this.
Still over there, but you can keep
this is live in Minneapolis.
Kind of, you said you're disappointed to see this aggressive response.
Yeah, you know, we as Minnesotans care about each other, and we want to make sure that people are safe.
Vinny, please back up.
And this is clear dissonance to our care and consideration for our neighbors.
Obviously, you can see that the federal agents kind of moved up the block to kind of move people away, while kind of, again, throwing tear gas, and it's being met by other people, residents who are throwing or launching fireworks at the
More aggressive, I think.
a little.
I do want to read a report from one of the Fox News correspondents, Bill Malugin. He says, I'm told by our law enforcement sources that there's been another ICE-involved shooting. He says, I'm told ICE was making contact with a target who then allegedly assaulted an officer with a shovel or swung a shovel. Shots were fired, and the suspect ran back to a house.
It looks like the federal.
And one of our producers here telling us that Fox 9, and they're reporting on their website saying that person was shot in the leg. We do not know the condition of that person.
Away from the scene.
Yeah, we were at 20.
Bill Malugin just updated that not too long ago. He says, I'm now told a suspect, believed to be Venezuelan, was indeed shot, but is okay and is now in custody. And then he provided a photo of that as well.
Chemical irritant being aided.
As you can see, those
And it is nasty stuff.
tear gas
Water in the eyes.
sort of projectiles being thrown out there. The ICE agents sort of kicking them along to try and push them further into the crowd as well.
When it comes to your lungs, you have to cough, and it hasn't been too bad for me, but I've seen several people who have been caught in that and then have been down on the ground. They've had to have help getting picked up and kind of moved back. Now it looks like federal agents are taping off.
I want to take a shot from the other side of this. This looks like it's the other side here where the ICE agents are on the other side of the tape. As you can see, it's different from what we were just showing you. I don't believe we have any sound here, but as you can see, the situation continues to escalate in Minneapolis. Obviously, we have seen a week of civil unrest there. We have seen so many people holding these anti-ICE protests. We have seen ICE going in and performing, arguably one of the biggest operations they ever had in this state. Of course, Governor Tim Walz very much against this. The Minneapolis mayor, Jacob Frey, the Democrat, very much against this. On the day Renee Nicole Good was shot and killed, he came out and said on camera, in front of media, get the F out of Minneapolis. He has not held back on that. He said he's not entirely against ICE in totality, but he does believe their tactics need to be corrected. That was according to him yesterday when he was talking to Fox News. Of course, Governor Tim Walz, many people asking him to step down as governor. He said he will not, but he is not running for re-election. He did actually just speak about 45 minutes ago to the media, and I can't make out what this woman is saying, but it's probably good that we don't have sound on this video. It looks as though those are explicitives there. But this is an escalating situation in Minneapolis. We're trying to bring you as many different angles as we possibly can. If you look on the other side, things a little bit more calm on that end. People being pushed back here. If we go back and join our Fox 9 coverage, you'll see someone trying to get that sort of tear gas out of their eyes. We'll go back to that.
About a half a block.
Okay.
They're now blocked off the intersection and are trying to, it looks like they're kind of making a singing of came up.
Yeah, and more just to get people up to speed, too, if they're just tuning in, about an hour ago, the city of Minneapolis put out a statement that they were aware of reports of a shooting involving federal law enforcement in North Minneapolis. They are working to get additional information. We know that the scene is around North 24th Avenue and North 6th Street in the Hawthorne neighborhood of Minneapolis. And Maury was talking to City Council member Latricia Vita about what she's hearing from her constituents. She hasn't spoken since a very scary situation. She showed up to try to get the situation.
I'm sorry, Maury, what?
He may be talking.
Yeah, I think Maury's off camera now. You were saying.
But City Council member Latricia Vita talking about how she came to the scene because she felt like she could be, as a city official, somebody who could maintain some calm and try to get information to people as well, because she said she did feel like it was very chaotic. And of course, this comes just 1 week after the shooting of Renee Good at 34th and Portland in the city of Minneapolis.
Well, the concern tonight at this moment in time is misinformation getting out. And again, we're trying to avoid that as well and give the folks at home and anybody who may be listening or watching or following us online is that we don't know exactly what the circumstances were. We do believe that it was an injury type shooting. Short of that, we don't know the details. ICE was in this neighborhood. Why they were there, we don't know. And as often happens in this kind of house,
Donald Trump wants this chaos. He wants confusion. And yes, he wants more violence on our streets. We cannot give him what he wants. We must protest loudly, urgently, but also peacefully. Indeed, as hard as we will fight in the courts and at the ballot box, we cannot and will not let violence prevail.
Welcome back to Austin Now, live from the Fox 7 Austin newsroom. We are continuing to follow breaking news out of Minneapolis tonight. Obviously, over the last week, there has been much unrest in this city. We have seen anti-ICE protests, of course, everywhere around the nation. Los Angeles, here in downtown Austin, and of course in Minneapolis. Obviously, because of what happened last week, 37-year-old Renee Nicole Good shot and killed by an ICE agent in her vehicle, and many people coming out tonight. Some signs, as we guys will show you. We'll go live right now to Minneapolis with our cameras right there getting the action. I do want to warn you, there may be some choice language there. I will try to turn it down as best as I can. But the reason this all happening right now, we are told by Fox 9, a Venezuelan man was reportedly shot by federal officials in North Minneapolis tonight. Sources told Fox 9 the shooting happened in the 600 block of 24th Avenue North in Minneapolis. The call was reported at about 7:30 tonight. As we have seen, there has been flashbangs used. There has been what appears to be tear gas used by law enforcement to try and get these protesters pushed back. As you see here, I'm not quite sure that's a non-lethal weapon there. It looks like some sort of paintball gun. These ICE agents and federal officials working to get the crowd under control. This all happening just a week after Renee Nicole Good was shot and killed. We were told that the man that was shot, the Venezuelan man, according to Fox News, is okay, was in custody. According to Bill Malugin, a Fox News correspondent, we have a lot of people here yelling at these federal officials as they start to drive away. Obviously going into another ICE operation. This has been the case all week there in Minneapolis. As we heard the Democratic Mayor Jacob Fry say, get the F out of Minneapolis. He maintains that stance. He says he does not want to abolish ICE entirely, but does believe their tactics need to change, and that this sort of mass chaos and confusion is what the Trump administration wants. And then just about an hour ago, we saw Governor Tim Walz, holding a sort of speech to say, hey, President Trump wants this chaos and confusion. He wants this to happen. He wants this violence. He said people need to keep protesting, but doing it peacefully. Then, 7:30, we see this happening, of course. A Venezuelan man shot by an ICE agent. We were told he is in custody. This was reported about an hour and a half ago. And as you can see, a lot of people here on the streets holding out their phones, yelling at them. We have seen flashbangs. We have seen tear gas or some type of pepper ball projectile. We saw this in downtown Austin over the weekend. People protesting, walking from the J.J. Pickle Federal Building, walking down to Congress, going down to 6th Street. They were eventually arrested. We've got a gentleman here on what looks like a bullhorn talking to them. This is coming from our cameras from Fox 9 right there in Minneapolis. Those federal agents trying to push back these protesters. I was going to toss to another angle, but it looks like everything is now centered on exactly this. There is what appears to be another angle here. We don't have any sound on this. I'm not quite sure if this is the same area. It appears to be, but just on the other side. We don't have any sound. We'll go back to this other shot. Here are those federal ICE agents right here. As you can see, looks like a non-lethal type weapon there that they are holding. This is certainly a developing situation, one that we will continue to monitor. We're going to take one more quick break just to make sure we have all our ducks in a row here. When we come back, we'll show you more from this protest happening. Welcome back to Austin Now, live from the Fox 7 Austin newsroom. You are seeing live images right now in Minneapolis. We are told by our affiliate there, Fox 9 in Minnesota, that there has been another ICE-involved shooting. I will read you the latest updates here. The Department of Homeland Security, in a statement, said federal officers were conducting a targeted traffic stop around 6:50 tonight. The shooting happening in the 600 block of 24th Avenue North in Minneapolis. Fox News reporter Bill Malugin, citing law enforcement sources, says ICE was involved in another shooting. He is told ICE was making contact with a person who then allegedly assaulted an officer. And Malugin did say on his Twitter account it may have been a shovel or something of that nature was swung or put towards that officer. He said shots were fired. The suspect ran. Malugin says the person is believed to be Venezuelan and is okay. That person now in custody. We are continuing to get more information about this. Obviously, this happens just a week after the fatal shooting of Renee Nicole Good there in Minneapolis. Just about an hour and a half ago, Governor Tim Walz coming out and saying that the city, the state needs to protest this. He believes the Trump administration wants this chaos, wants this violence. The city of Minneapolis officials say they are aware of reports of this shooting. They did not make any comment. All the comment we have now is from the Department of Homeland Security in a statement saying that federal officers were conducting a, quote, targeted traffic stop. If you're just joining us, these are live images here. I do want to toss it over to our affiliate, Fox 9. It looks as though another type of flashbang was thrown. We will try and get to that now. We'll listen in.
It was a Venezuelan immigrant that law enforcement, federal agents were trying to take into custody. A struggle ensued. An assault upon the federal agent allegedly occurred there as well. The federal agent discharged his weapon, hitting that Venezuelan migrant in the leg. Both the officer and the migrant have been taken to the hospital, and as you can imagine, a crowd did gather in that scene. Federal agents, Minneapolis police are on the scene as well, are deploying chemical irritants to keep the crowd back. Our Maury Glover is on scene there. He just got caught up in those chemical mixes.
To talk. I know you've been breathing a lot of that in, Maury.
Hello?
Yeah, we hear you, Maury.
Hi, my name's Maury Glover. I'm from Channel 9. I just wanted to see, did you guys just get caught up in the tear gas?
Yeah, literally, it landed right on my foot, which was so scary. And they already tear gassed me before. But, like, I feel like the adrenaline made the pain go away. I don't know. That was very scary.
Well, how about for you?
Yeah, I just got hit right here on the shoe, too. And it was very painful when I got hit. Yeah.
Why are you out here tonight?
Because I just heard the ICE killed someone here or shot someone here. This is, we live around here. Yeah, we live in the neighborhood.
A block away.
A block away, yeah. We just walk here. And we're like, that's not acceptable.
I believe what we've been hearing is that there was a person who was shot, an immigrant who was shot, as well as, I believe, an officer, an agent who was also shot. And they've both been taken to the hospital. Okay. But we don't believe, or at least we don't know if anyone has died or has been killed.
Okay.
Still, what are you thinking? What have you seen and heard since you've been out here?
I think ICE should get the hell out of here. We don't want ICE in Minneapolis because they're terrorizing us. They're terrorizing especially immigrant communities, and we don't need them here.
What do you think about the tactics that kind of the federal agents are using to kind of disperse the crowd here?
It's not right at all. It's really not right.
That's my daughter. Yeah.
Like, yeah, the way that they're acting right now is insane. Seriously insane. And if they really shot someone, I mean, they already did shoot someone, which is insane. So if they did shoot someone again, like, something needs to be done here. Seriously, something really needs to be done.
Thank you very much, really appreciate it. We've seen several people who've been caught up in the tear gas, kind of trying to pour water on their eyes and trying to clear the gas. It's obviously having an impact on folks here, and they've kind of cleared away from that intersection. But as you can see, they're kind of gathering right back there. People are here handing out water.
We'll go back to our other live shot. I do want to let you guys know, if you're just joining us, breaking news out of Minneapolis tonight, another ICE-involved shooting. We have limited details at this time, but what we do know, that person was shot. They are believed to be Venezuelan. They are in custody. We've got about 30 seconds left in the show. Of course, tune in to watch more local coverage of what's going on, obviously, here in Austin, Central Texas. We'll have that show coming up for you guys on the Fox Local app or just on whatever you watch us on Fox 9. So we'll continue to have more information on this. Follow us on our website, fox7austin.com. Follow us on social media at Fox7Austin as well. Jenna King will have more on the Uvalde trial. Marco Bittner will have more on the Yogurt Shop murders update. We will see you guys next week.